Please remain standing. My name is Sarah Morgan Sylvester, and I am honored to be the Chancellor of the University of British Columbia. Please join us in the singing of O Canada, led by our University Marshal, Nancy Hermiston, Director of the Opera and Voice Program at the UBC School of Music. Thank you, Nancy. We respectfully acknowledge the traditions and customs of the Okanagan Nation and its people in whose traditional territories we are gathered today. At this time, I would like to invite Betty Jean Cardenas, member of the Okanagan Nation, to sing the Okanagan song. Thank you very much, Ms. Cardenas. That was wonderful. We pause for a moment to give thanks, spiritual and temporal, for the blessings we share in this wonderful world, this great country, this blessed province, this splendid university, these proud students, their families and friends. We give thanks especially for this most happy occasion. Please be seated. Well, a warm welcome to you all, to our 2012 graduates, to your parents, family, and friends who are joining you here today in this celebration of your achievement. What a wonderful and long-awaited day. Congratulations. In the years leading up to this great moment, you've been exposed to fabulous professors, to the satisfaction of solving challenging problems, and to the beauty of the UBC Okanagan campus, and look at it today. But quite possibly the best gift provided by your university education is each other. That's right. The person sitting right next to you or in the row behind you. Now, I'm not suggesting that you are close friends with everyone in your graduating class. A close friend is a rare and treasured gift indeed, although I do hope that you made one or two close friends during your time here at UBCO. What I am suggesting is that you need each other, as we all need each other. And we particularly need those who think differently than we do, those who frustrate us by moving at a different pace, those who amaze us with their proficiency at something we just can't do, and those who challenge us and make us a little uncomfortable. You know who these people are, because you've just spent the last number of years exploring new concepts with them. Think of famous teams and partnerships. Are they usually individuals who are identical to each other, or are they more different than alike? Think of Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau in the movie The Odd Couple, or Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, who built what would become Apple Computer, or Margaret Thatcher and her self-effacing husband, Dennis. Now, I'm aware that what I'm asking you to do is to fight the inertia that makes us all creatures of habit. I walked into a meeting the other day, and I sat on the opposite side of the table from where I usually do. Now, I know this isn't a big deal, but I had to make a conscious choice to do it. It became a bigger deal when the other meeting participants, to a person, remarked on my seating choice. This is a pretty common illustration of human behavior. After all, how many times have you walked into a lecture theater and sat in roughly the same place, surrounded by roughly the same group of people? Left to our natural instincts, we tend to build zones of comfort around ourselves. We gravitate towards what we know and are familiar with. We keep in touch with those who we feel are similar to us. Well, I think we need to mix it up a little. Let me go back to Jobs and Wozniak. Like I'm sure many of you, I've recently finished reading Walter Isaacson's biography of Steve Jobs. While Jobs and Wozniak did share similar passions, such as music, practical jokes, and computers, in many ways they were more different than alike. Steve Wozniak was chunky and stooped, an electronics whiz with an aversion to extreme ambition. He was influenced by his rocket scientist father, who in turn was a brilliant engineering grad from Caltech. Steve Jobs was skinny, wiry, and full of energy, focused on design and user-friendliness, and larger than life with driving ambition. He was influenced by his high school dropout father, who knew how to make money by fixing cars and selling them. What's unique about Jobs and Wozniak is not how different they were, but how much they acknowledged and appreciated their differences. Perhaps the benefit of working with someone different to himself shaped Jobs' later thinking, evident in his positioning of the Apple brand with the Think Different campaign, evident in his acknowledgement that different skill sets combine to produce something truly innovative, as in this Jobs quote from the Isaacson biography. It's in Apple's DNA that technology alone is not enough. We believe that it's technology married with the humanities that yields us the result that makes our heart sing. There are many examples of this kind of marriage of differences leading to innovation, because it's exceedingly rare for a great idea to be produced by a single great mind. It took not just Thomas Edison, but 5 men, all with different skill sets and representing 4 nationalities, to produce the light bulb. The energetic and single-minded Marie Curie, who coined the term radioactivity, earned her first Nobel Prize jointly with her husband, Pierre, reportedly an idealist and dreamer. And in my own much more modest way, throughout my business career, I've come to seek out those who have different views, backgrounds, and skill sets to my own, particularly when there's an opportunity to build something important. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I volunteer as the Chancellor of UBC. It's a true gift to have an opportunity to help build an institution of global significance like UBC, surrounded by a diverse group of people. It's a gift to discover parts of me that I didn't even know existed through discussions with others who are different than me. But there's at least one other great reason to be Chancellor: the opportunity to confer degrees on all of today's graduating students. And that's a task I look forward to with immense pleasure. So let me end my comments by offering you my warmest and most sincere congratulations on your achievement. Fill your life with different people and stay connected, not just with your friends, but to those you have admired for their differences. Build something unique together, something that, as Steve Jobs would say, makes your heart sing. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chancellor. Good morning. I'm Stephen Toop, and I have the honor to serve as President and Vice Chancellor of the University of British Columbia. Madam Chancellor, distinguished colleagues, honored guests, members of the UBC graduating class of 2012. What's the point of a university education? No doubt a few of you are asking that question as you sit here today at graduation, poised on the cusp of a new life, a life full of promise, but also with the inevitable uncertainty that all transitions bring. Recently, I was privileged to hear an address by the great Mexican essayist and novelist Carlos Fuentes. Sadly, he died only a few days after I heard him speak. He was reflecting upon the role of the university, and I think he said something profound. He argued that the university is a place where, quotes, people learn to be freer. Some of that freedom is physical and emotional. In university, most of us move quickly on that continuum of learning who we are. We may live on our own for the first time, away from families. Even if we live at home, our sense of independence, of freedom, is likely to grow. We spend more time with friends and classmates than we do with families. Our parents don't have the same influence that they had in our childhood. Now, before you parents get angry with me, please know that I share your pain. My eldest daughter is studying in Europe. Her freedom is a constant challenge to my need to protect and connect. But of course, Fuentes was talking about something bigger than physical freedom, something additional to emotional freedom. When he speaks of the university as a place where people learn to be freer, he means, I think, freer intellectually, even spiritually. I hope that your time at the University of British Columbia has opened new worlds of ideas to you. I hope your teachers and classmates have challenged you so profoundly that some of your deepest assumptions have been rocked. I hope that you've been introduced to cultures and worldviews that have caused you to question your fixed ideas. In short, I hope that you're freer today than when you arrived here. Freer of prejudice, freer of settled points of view that make other ways of thinking difficult, freer of assumptions that cloud analysis and block emotions. How does that happen? How does education help make you freer? Well, oddly, I think that in large measure, it's through intellectual discipline and a recognition of boundaries that our freedom is built. In the last few months, a rather interesting, if seemingly arcane debate has opened up on the pages of some major magazines and in the blogosphere over the utility of brainstorming. Now, at first blush, brainstorming would seem to rely on the value of unfettered creativity, on unshaped thinking. Indeed, at its inception in the 1940s, brainstorming was described by the person who coined the term, Alex Osborne, an advertising executive, as a creative process that requires the free flow of ideas in a group without any criticism or negative feedback. Osborne suggested, quotes, creativity is so delicate a flower that praise tends to make it bloom while discouragement often nips it in the bud, end quote. Well, it turns out that some pretty compelling research does not support Osborne's hypothesis. Professor Keith Sawyer, a psychologist at the University of Washington, concludes, quotes, decades of research has consistently shown that brainstorming groups think of far fewer ideas than the same number of people who work alone and later pool their ideas, end quote. Oh no, Does that mean that all of those group projects you did in high school and here at UBC were a waste of time? That we humans are intellectual isolates who don't need to work together? Well, happily, it does not. In a recent article in the New Yorker magazine, the young and very cool science writer, Jonah Lehrer, you should check out his YouTube presence, reviews fascinating research that shows convincingly that the very best way to produce ideas is not solitary confinement, but nor is it free association, brainstorming in a group. In the words of Professor Charlene Nemeth of Berkeley, quotes, "Our findings show that debate and criticism do not inhibit ideas, but rather stimulate them relative to every other condition," end quote. An increasingly powerful body of research reveals that the notion of the creative superhero, the lonely artist, is largely a myth. Creativity is rooted in social interaction. Philosopher Auguste Comte opined that, quotes, "The most profound thinker will never forget that all men must be regarded as coadjutors in discovering truth," end quote. Well, we may or may not agree that there is a truth there to discover, but at the very least, we're more likely to be able to approach truth in settings where our ideas are challenged, where our assumptions are tested, where open debate is encouraged. We're actually freer when our own thoughts are disciplined in discourse with our teachers and peers. Life is full of surprises, good and bad, and we will never have all the answers. You surely do not have all the answers today just because you're graduating from a great university. As Fuentes reminds us, education contains the questions that are still to come. That's the point of a university education. Good luck to each and every one of you, and again, congratulations. It's now my pleasure to invite Dr. Doug Oram, Deputy Vice Chancellor and Principal of the Okanagan campus, to make remarks and to introduce other speakers. Dr. Oram.
Madam Chancellor, President Toop, and most of all, graduates, family, and friends, good morning. First, let me join the ranks of all of those who will be congratulating you on this important day. In some ways, I'm sure the last 4 or 5 years, 6 in some cases, have flown by. And yet in another, it must seem a very long time since you suffered the anxieties of being a student arriving on campus for the very first time. You got past those jitters, you resisted the temptations of going to a party when you had an important assignment due, most of the time. Now those assignments are complete. Today you become UBC degree holders, so congratulations. I'm also very conscious that in some ways you have grown personally through the university at the same time the university was growing. When you arrived, many of the state-of-the-art buildings that we now have and that shape our campus today were just drawings or perhaps holes in the ground. As we expanded, there was a degree of chaos, construction fences, and makeshift arrangements. I can tell you personally, there were many years when the paint was drying on the residences as the first-year students were coming up the driveway. But we survived, you survived, all those challenges and changes in your lives. Now you've arrived here for a well-deserved celebration of your accomplishments. Today is a milestone you'll never forget. In the ceremony here, you're taking part in a tradition infused with rites that go back hundreds of years. The robes, the titles, the admission into the rights and privileges of the degree can be traced back to the early modern or medieval era. The gowns we are wearing reflect the time when all members of a university, students and faculty, were connected to religious orders. But there's a much more personal reason why you'll never forget today. This is very much your event. It is a landmark in your lives, You're moving from UBC students to UBC alumni and on to the next step. So as you do that, allow yourselves to be a little sentimental, even a little corny today. Take a look at this campus that was your home and what it has become. Take a look at yourselves and all you've accomplished and be proud. I'm also going to remind you of something I said when you came to create a few years ago. And of course, you'll all remember this, right? That was get engaged, get involved. I said your university life would be all the more meaningful if you did so. Now that you're graduating, I will say the same thing. Stay engaged with UBC. Our university has a tremendous alumni association, and more of those alumni are now from UBC's Okanagan campus. There are all sorts of ways you can remain part of UBC, stay connected to the networks you've formed, expand those networks to other UBC alumni, both from here and in Vancouver. Do so. You'll find it a tremendously rewarding and enjoyable experience. Now, for many of you, as the President said, the transition from student to graduate combines a sense of personal accomplishment with a tinge of anxiety. That's natural. A familiar pattern is ending, and new ones have yet to be formed. Social groups will be changing, and the future is at best unclear and maybe a complete fog. But be assured, you were probably nervous when you came to university. You probably doubted your ability to get through some of your assignments, and yet you succeeded. That's why you're here today. You have the education, you have the ability. Whether you're going on to graduate school or beginning a career, remember two things. Remember the successes you've had and have confidence. And secondly, use your talents and your education to make a difference as well as a career. Thank you very much. And I'm pleased at this time to call upon Brian Manders, member of the graduating class, to make remarks and introduce the gifts to the university. Brian.
Madam Chancellor, honored guests, fellow graduates, not entirely sure who thought it would be a good idea to give me a microphone and a captive audience, but you're here. 2 weeks ago, I told my 11-year-old son that I'd be giving this speech today, and his immediate reaction was, "Oh no." When I grow up, I want to be I also have two beautiful teenage daughters here today. My oldest is in first year at Okanagan College, and the other is about to begin her final year at high school. All three of my children are in the process of deciding what they want to become when they grow up. I'm their father. I don't have any advice for them because I'm not sure that what you become is nearly as important as who you become. So I ask you, who will you become? My hope is that your answer is not easily defined because what comes next is unknown. For some, there will be responsibility and that dreaded financial accountability. Some may gain stability, even respectability through productivity. The fortunate among us have shown limitless possibility by proving their adaptability. But what is certain is that we will all be given the opportunity to show integrity as we continue to define our identity. Well, if the future is unknown, we can certainly ask who we have become. Who were you when you entered university? And who are you now that you're about to graduate? Well, part of our identity has been molded by our experiences here at UBC. In an act symbolizing our lifelong ties to the university, the class of 2012 has placed a commemorative stone tablet in the main courtyard walkway. I've been asked to mention this because year after year, new tablets will be placed as a lasting tribute to each and every proud alumnus who worked and played here. Yet, bricks and stone merely sheltered us during our years here. I believe the truly influential elements who helped to define our identity are sitting in the gallery behind you and on this stage behind me. Our friends, our family, and our professors. Now here I'm going to take 15 seconds and publicly thank my greatest source of support and inspiration, to my wife. To my wife, Leslie, thank you for standing beside me on this remarkable journey. So how will you honor those who have inspired you, nurtured you, and supported you? Will you honor them by passing on the best qualities that they have taught you? Here we go. Have you become the type of person to appreciate, initiate, and anticipate? Possibly with the help of your parents, you no longer hesitate or vacillate on whether or not you should participate. Have your professors encouraged you to become someone who communicates and collaborates to facilitate your ability to innovate? Will your experiences here lead you to become the type of person to illuminate, vindicate, liberate, or perhaps even emancipate? To my fellow Faculty of Education graduates, have you become the type of teacher who motivates, elucidates, inculcates, and exhilarates in order to educate? Perhaps if you're a parent like me, your children have strongly hinted that your inability to rhyme has a tendency to nauseate. And your spouse reminds you that your propensity to procrastinate greatly irritates. Hopefully, you've made a friend who has shown you that to intimidate, humiliate, and reciprocate hate are actions which can be replaced by the ability to tolerate. One thing is for certain, who we have become has led us to this moment in time where we will walk across this stage and graduate. So these speeches are always filled with some kind of advice, and I think to myself, well, really, I need to come up with some kind of advice for you all. But as with my children, I have none for you. Hopefully you've not spent your time at university being talked to. You've not learned what to know, because that would suggest limits. Here are the 7 things that you need to know. But rather, you've learned how to know. The world is full of noise, opinions, and advice. You know what to do. Now we need to reflect on our experiences, to act with courage and integrity, to do the right thing, and be proud of the person you have become. Thank you.
I was tempted to try some, but I won't. Thank you, Brian. I will now ask Dr. Wesley Pugh, Provost and Vice Principal of the Okanagan campus, to introduce the Award for Teaching Excellence and Innovation. Dr. Pugh.
It is my pleasure to introduce the Award for Teaching Excellence and Innovation. This award, including a $3,000 prize, recognizes outstanding teachers at the Okanagan campus, as nominated by students, faculty colleagues, and alumni. The award highlights the importance of teaching in creating an outstanding student experience. In the normal course of events, award winners come on stage and stand beside me as I read a citation in their honor. Today's award winner can't be here because he had to travel to Alberta and got stuck on the other side of a mudslide. However, so you don't need to speculate as to who this is, I'll reveal the person's name and read the citation in absentia. I would like to announce one of the recipients of the Junior Faculty Award for Teaching Excellence and Innovation, Dr. Eric Rozalowski of the Irving K. Barber School of Arts and Sciences. Dr. Eric Rozalowski is an associate professor of physics and astronomy in the Irving K. Barber School of Arts and Sciences. His passion for science and for teaching are clearly evident in his career, and he has applied his expertise to develop the astronomy curriculum here at UBC's Okanagan campus. This includes first and second year astronomy courses for science students and upper year courses for the physics major. He has been instrumental in the assessment of first-year physics instruction, helping to inform the development of that curriculum. To enhance student learning experiences, Dr. Rozalowski's classes employ group work, and he has introduced technology such as e-books, self-study media, and online assignments. He is highly respected by students and colleagues alike, and in absentia, please join with me in congratulating Dr. Vasilevsky.
And my book says, congratulations, Dr. Vasilevsky. It's unfortunate about mudslides and things, but that does happen from time to time. Now, I would ask the candidates for degrees to please rise. Rise. I apologize. Madam Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting the candidates for degrees who have successfully completed their studies and fulfilled the conditions that the university has set for them. The Okanagan Senate of this university recommends them to you for the degrees that will be announced by a representative of the faculties. As each degree is officially conferred, the Dean of the Faculty, and in the case of the graduate students, the Dean of the College of Graduate Studies, will congratulate the student. Arnie Smith and Raja Waryak, members of the alumni community, will present each student with an alumni gift. The candidates will please be seated.
Madam Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the candidates for the degree Doctor of Philosophy. Dr. Philippe Henry developed a method to non-invasively collect hair from a small climate change-sensitive mammal, the American pika. He applied this method to study the conservation genetics of the American pika and found that populations from the coast mountains display restricted gene flow and that they may have to rely on local adaptation to persevere in a warmer world. Dr. Henry. Jennifer Karen Marie Walker. Dr. Walker demonstrated that clear-cut harvesting in a high-elevation forest affected the identity and distribution of below-ground symbiotic fungi, as well as the ecosystem services they provide. More importantly, she found that site manipulation, such as leaving logs behind on the ground, can alter the trajectory of these changes. Dr. Walker. Paula Naomi Brown. Dr. Brown demonstrated a novel application of metabolomics to identify determinants of natural product quality by investigating commercial cranberries and two related native BC species. Her studies show that native berries may be useful in the treatment of urinary tract infections and that crop quality is dependent on species and growing location. Dr. Brown. Sybil Dalkakiran. Dr. Dalkakiran developed a new series of composite materials with carbon fiber and metal-containing conducting polymers. These materials combine the properties of metal, conducting polymer, and carbon fiber. She concluded that the materials are excellent candidates for chemical sensors, photoactive molecular devices, and capacitors. Dr. Dalkakiran.
Madam Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you candidates for the degree Master of Arts. Melissa Hart. Melissa Ann Jacobs. Jennifer Kelly. Chelsea Alana Nyeste. Renee Philip O'Bain. Madam Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you candidates for the degree Master of Education. Right? Charmaine Braid Nixon. Sarah Bryant. Sarah Jean Conkin. Jacqueline Cousins. Carla Dow. Nina Ferguson. Heidi Gatti. Laurel Jean Geyer. Jason Allen Hudson. Barbara Hoover. Fern Anja Imrich. Allison Jean King. Carrie Jo Lockwood. Jeffrey John Edward McDonald. Karen Therese McGuire. Bernadine Merchant Brown. Pamela Margot Ritchie. Lisa Mundy. Darren Kent Pendergast. Krista Thomas. Sebastian Francois Valois. Joshua Brian Vance. Deborah Ann Van de Sand. Catherine Ann Wickham. Kathleen Wilson Nault. Oh, that's it. Sarah Lee Wolf.
Madam Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the candidates for the degree of Master of Science. Tristan Nicole Hay. Brianne Joelle Mateer. Banani Bhattacharya. Stephen C. Brown. Sheena Ella Haynes. Haynes. Julie Ann Nutini. Madam Chancellor, I have the pleasure of announcing that Julie Ann is the winner of the Governor General's Gold Medal for highest academic achievement in the College of Graduate Studies.
Madam Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you candidates for the degree Bachelor of Education in Elementary. Okay. Mina Ashraf. Sandra Lynette Bargery. Laura Jean Bartlett. Camille Fern Boland. Emily Bradford. Jessica Brewis. Kate Crowell Hanston. Jennifer Lynn DaCosta. Candace Ann Elizabeth Dick. Christy Ann Eisenhut. Jessica Ray Fair. Christy Fletcher. Amazing. Jenna Foster. Amanda Kathleen Gaythorpe. Stephanie Godon. Alexandra Kimberly Green. Crystal Elizabeth Grover. Kimberly Hackett. Megan Julia Helfrich. Courtney Laurie Harriet. Jessica Ivany. Lisa Coble. There. Holly Marie Langlois. Victoria Lewis. David Matthew Lucas. Carrie Lynn Don Lewowski. Hi there. Ying Ma. Sally Marion Maitland. Brian Manders. Telia Metzger. Rita Kathleen Noakes Mill. Natalie Christine Morgan. Carissa Morneau. Jocelyn Netzlaw. Amanda Sky Perry. Kayla Dawn Ratz. Tara Marie Hay Redwood. Madam Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the recipient of the award, University of B.C. Medal in Education, head of the graduating class, Ajmer Kaur Sahota, and Bachelor of Education. Lisa Sakharukov. Renata Lynn Solly. Tarla Ray Sayanchuk. Alexandra Sibson. Megan Summery. Nicole Stensrud. Monica Swittick. Alyssa Tivey. Chelsea Verney. Jessica Williams. Angela Sumac. Derek Buchert. Amanda Tyson. Charity Franchuk. Harmeet Pakar. Ashley Williams. Jacqueline Reiger.
Madam Chancellor, I have the pleasure of presenting to you the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science. Haley Dirksen. Chris Milner. Aaron Molcan. Alexander Vern Pickering. Gordon Wong. William Brock Glover. Cynthia Shum. Janessa Ray Dilley. Kristen Dorn. Eric Gunnar Hall. Allison Lowe. David Nielsen. Ahioma Onaro. Chelsea Francine Vandenberg. Amy Walker. Cherry Wang. Katerina Axwick. Mike W. Rusak. Joel Edward Field. Braden Gourdu. Scott Colwell Padley. Jeanette Hazel Karen Madsen. Colby Rentschler. Stephanie A. Rushensky. Morgan Taylor Ashcroft. Emily Carlson. Melissa Clarkson. Kayla Jean Dupre. Adam Farr. Jordan Rochelle Sasha Finn. Brett Alexander Holmgren. Carlene Meiklejohn. Vincent Morency. Morgan Ashley Reimerson. Sean Kevin Scooter. Alistair Ton. Christina Weistock. Raya Hayes. Katrina Loretta Ann Hill. Grayson Keith Wilson. Justin Oren Black. Addison N. Desnoyer. Jonathan David Cahoot. Chloe Amber Mariani. Tegan Delmar Binder. Yoon Hee Chung. Afton Hiscox. Nicole Ashley Leahy. Derek Liu. Ross Benjamin Richard Miller. Brandon Potter. Scott V. Trong. Julie Linda McTaggart. Alexandra V. Azanova. Tom Edmond. Jessica Lee Weers. Robert Ryan Trenholm. Jesse Gaston, or Gaston. French or English, I'm not sure. Jamie Leanne McKee Scott. Nicholas Noel Therian. Ah, this is a good one. Kamiya Urash Ojikoji. Valerie Marguerite Blau. Allison Christine Henri. Andrew S. Kuiper. Mark Chi-Yin Lam. Caitlin Germaine Pocha. Julia Scott. Jordan Alexander White. Okay. Christopher Bourne Janig. Zoe Madeline Masters. Crystal Ashworth. Sarah J. Fennell. Amanda Faye Jardine. Charlene Conkin. Christopher Peter Mayer. Miloš Milničak. Darren Andrew Roper. Kaya Bien. Heather Marie Buckingham. Haley Angela Walsh. Felicia Douglas. Stephanie Elizabeth Judge. Taylor Ulrich. Craig Andrew Baptiste. Brent Parker. Deep Pachu. Samuel Boatin. Cody Apima. Spencer Doyle Hunt. Evan Popoff. And Madam Chancellor, I have the pleasure of announcing that Evan is the winner of the University of BC Medal in Science, head of the graduating class. Ryan Warren Baptiste. Nicholas Chow. Amy Elizabeth Palomar. Rachel Faye Stone. Jennifer Leslie McPherson. Avery Beardmore. Joshua Richard Serrata. Rupinder Baniwal. Rebecca Berendrake. Daniela Caitlin Shireen DeCoffey. Lauren Alexander Elizabeth Ireland. Elizabeth Christine Halverson. Kirsty Oyama. Nahal Adoon. Kellyanne Berenger. Monica Angela Sella. Kyla Elizabeth Dowler. Karen Fong. Samantha Savisky. Amanda Verwoerd. Krista Neary. Jesse Darcy Olson. Braden McDonald. Christopher Ryan Jacob Bugling. Brandon J. Cleland. Ashley Monica Greenslade. Olivia Grace Robertson. Crystal Lee Evanoff. Alicia Cooper. Nicholas Roscoe Huser. Bryn Hornby. Vanessa Mo Nguyen. Lindsay Jean Peters. Stephanie Popke. Matai Rao. Courtney Ellen Eck.
Okay, so now here's the really important bit. For those graduates who have just crossed the stage today, and for all of those who were unable to attend today's ceremony, with respect to the appropriate degrees as shown in the program, I hereby admit you. Will all the graduates please rise? It has been my great pleasure to meet and congratulate each member of today's graduating class. You've each invested a great deal of determination, focus, and hard work in obtaining your degree. And now, just as you graduate, this would be a perfect time for you to turn around and show your support and appreciation for everything your parents, family, and friends have done to support you in this journey by giving them a big round of applause. Having crossed this stage today, you are now members of the Convocation of UBC. You are in good company. Since UBC began granting degrees in 1916, more than 285,000 men and women have crossed a stage just like this one to receive their degrees and have gone on to build our communities and shape our society. As alumni, your relationship with UBC is beginning anew. You can maintain your voice in the affairs of UBC through your elected members in Senate, by mentoring today's students, or by participating in UBC's many volunteer opportunities, both here and abroad. And as lifelong learners, you're always welcome to come back and take a course or two. I encourage you to stay involved and be part of the future of this great institution. You have so much to offer UBC, as it still has much to offer you. To M.Ed. Please be seated.
As you saw, Julianne Nutini was the winner of the Governor General's Academic Gold Medal. I wanted to tell you a bit about the medal and, most importantly, about Julianne, who I believe is coming up at this moment. The Governor General's Academic Gold Medal is awarded each year to the student who achieves the highest academic standing at the graduate level. Since it was first awarded in 1873, this medal has become one of the most prestigious awards a student in a Canadian educational institution can receive. So congratulations, Julianne. And here's why she won it. Julie began her undergraduate degree at Selkirk College. She transferred to the Okanagan campus of UBC, where she completed her Bachelor of Science degree in mathematics with honors. As an undergraduate, she received the President's Entrance Scholarship, the Trek Excellence Scholarship for continuing students, and the Canadian Federation of University Women Kelowna Undergraduate Scholarship. Julie was on the Dean's List each year. She began her master's degree in mathematics in September 2010. She was awarded a Graduate Entrance Scholarship, the UBC Okanagan Scholarship, and a University of British Columbia Okanagan Fellowship. Her research with Professor Warren Hare involved developing a derivative free optimization algorithm for functions with smooth substructure. Julie has... You all got that, right? There'll be a test at the end of the ceremony. Julie has currently been awarded a postgraduate scholarship doctoral from the Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council and will begin her Ph.D. program in computer science at the other UBC in September 2012. It's my pleasure to ask the Chancellor to congratulate Julianne, and my congratulations as well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chancellor. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings our ceremony to a close. I hope, in spite of the early hour for some of you, that you've enjoyed it as much as I, and that all of you will be able to join us for refreshments, which will be served immediately after this ceremony in the courtyard. And this is one of those moments where you say, thank goodness it's not raining. Guests are requested please to remain in the places until the academic procession has left the building. Thank you all for joining us today, and I know you'll join me one last time in congratulating the 2012 graduates of the University of British Columbia. Congratulations.
134. 134.